Do you really think and believe that millions of evolved souls would say yes to come to Earth just to die in a totalitarian New World Order? Absolutely not. We came to flip this world upside down, back to its original state and more. We came here for the new Earth, for world peace, for the immortal golden age, for a new Eden. We came here for nothing less than to send a wave of light and love across the universe, signaling the birth of a new order of divine justice, peace, compassion, and love. All right. And that's why you all are in this class tonight. So as we continue down that journey. So the notes I have here, what I'm supposed to talk about is what are soulmates? How do I know if I have found mine? Why do I have such a hard time with love relationships? And I could probably spend 10 hours on those three questions, but I'm not going to get that focused. I mean, I'll touch on those three questions and answer them for sure, but I don't want to focus just on what a soulmate is. I want to focus on the bigger picture, and you'll see why by the time we're done. The bigger picture is why do we come to Earth? We could go to many, many different places. And I know you don't have a memory of this, or most of your memories have been wiped out. But when you were sitting on the other side and you were deciding what's kind of boring here, I think I'm going to go back into a physical body. Let's see where I want to choose. And then you selected Earth. And the reason you selected Earth is because the main theme of this amusement park we call home, the main reason, the main growth method of evolving, increasing our consciousness, et cetera, is through relationships. Now stop and think about that for a minute. Everything you do is relationship oriented. Everything. Your job, you have to work with other people. You have to cooperate with other people. You're in a relationship with your boss, relationship with your coworkers, relationship with your subordinates, if you have those. Everything we do is about relationship. And this Earth, this theater of experience, is set up to experience firsthand what it is to be in a relationship, to be out of a relationship, to have a relationship be successful, to have a relationship crash and burn. Everything we do, every part of our life is relationship. And ultimately, no matter how long you live, ultimately, it's about coming back to relationship to self. It's always about coming back to self. So when I was going through my 12-year journey of cleansing my field, getting rid of my shock, panic, and trauma, it was always this. It always came back to self. You know, I could say, oh, my ex-wife was this and my ex-boss was that, and all this, but it was always me. I was always at the center of every relationship. And so let me give you not an example, but it always cracks me up when people say, oh, I think I'm going to move. You know, things aren't going well for me here. And they move, and lo and behold, things don't go well for you in the new place. What's the common denominator? Is it the economy different? Is the geography is different for sure? But what's the common denominator? It's always you. It's always self. All right. So you've always got to look at self, but this whole experience is about relationships. And I'm reminded of a story Wayne Dyer used to tell. He was walking along the beach in I think it was Los Angeles, maybe Santa Barbara. And a lady said, she ran into him and says, oh my God, you're Wayne Dyer. And he says, yeah, okay, no problem. And, you know, he was pretty humble that way. And she would say, well, I'm thinking about moving here. I'm thinking about moving because I really enjoy the beach. I really enjoy the weather, but I'm worried about what the people are going to be like. And he goes, well, what are they like where you're from? And she says, oh, they're judgmental. They're condescending. They've always got their nose stuck in my business. It's hard to find any peace. I don't get along with my neighbors. And he says, well, you'll probably find that same thing here. And so A couple of days later, he's walking the same beach. Another woman comes along, recognizes him again because he's pretty famous. He was a pretty famous person. She had the same story, and she said, "Oh my God, this place is amazing. My husband and I are talking about moving here. What's it like? I mean, what can I expect?" And he says, "Well, what's it like where you're at?" She says, "Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I just love everybody I meet. I get along with everybody. I have magnificent friends." And he just looked at her and said, "Yeah, you that's probably what you'll find here. That's what the people are like here." And without telling them, what he was acknowledging is that they are the center of their universe. They are the core. They are the common element. So if you don't have much of a life where you're at, you're not going to have much of a life where you're going unless you do your work. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, what that means. So Earth, or why do you come here, is to experience and grow and raise your consciousness through the interaction, the creation, and sometimes the destruction of relationships. Because even though you walk around and you have a bad relationship and your heart is broken, you still are releasing, you still are renewing, you're still recovering, you're still building, you're still increasing your consciousness. So we learn through good and bad. It's both sides of the same coin. Okay, so just because you don't have a happy relationship doesn't mean you're not growing. You are, but you just haven't reached a point where it's enough is enough and you're ready to walk away from it. But that's another subject. So you set up your timeline. Now this is a crude explanation of it. It's your birth all the way to your death. So you decide when you're coming in. You decide who your parents are going to be. And then you decide some of the experiences along your life or along your timeline, such as, where you're going to be born, what country maybe. It could be, you could set up your career, maybe where you're going to go to school, all kinds of stuff. What your overall career will be probably. And then death, you determine when you're out of here. Now, that's a very high level example. So some people, they come in and they've got everything set up. I'm gonna be this much old, or I'm gonna be this old when I get married. I'm gonna be this old when I have my first child. I'm gonna have this many children. Some people have got this whole life planned out. Some people have the major milestones planned out. Some people have nothing planned out. They just say, I'm going to go back to Earth. I'm going to enjoy being there. And I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and let it happen. And all those are fair. That's fair. You came here to enjoy yourself. So it's the equivalent of like Clark W. Griswold, right? So some people are Clark W. Griswold. They want to know where they're going, how long they're going to be there, how many attractions they're going to see along the way, all that kind of stuff. Other people are just come in, they're winging it. So that they pick their parents, they pick their entrance date and maybe their exit date, but that's it. They don't know anything beyond that. Okay, that's all fair. The reason I go into that is because that has to do a lot with relationships, because most people will work or have time periods for their relationship. They'll set those up ahead of time. Okay. Why is that important? Well, let's say you, person A and person B, were married in a previous life, and person A and person B need to work out some karma. They didn't get to finish it last time. Maybe it got interrupted prematurely. Maybe one person went another direction, but you want to bring that relationship to a close. So, and you can feel it at some level. It's like, I'm not completely in this. I don't see a long term with this person, but I enjoy their presence and I enjoy being around them for now. And then, so that relationship terminates. And then you've been brought it to an end. So you've wrapped up even the previous lifetime's karma and have that concluded. So you're done, right? And then around 40, you set up another relationship. And maybe this is the one where, or maybe 35 or 40, that maybe this is the one that you've decided, oh, well, this will be the person I marry and the person I have children with. And we'll live happily ever after. And that's okay if you want to do that. That's okay, because you still got a lot of life left. You got a lot of lessons to learn and all that kind of stuff. Not a problem. Not a problem. It's your decision. You decide what you want to experience and how you want to experience it. So there are a few things that happen when we're setting up relationship timelines. One is there's always free will. And I have seen other cases where you know people, but you don't even see them. It's like they've come to this earth and they've lived a very different life than when you knew them, and they've shifted and changed their consciousness. So you could set up a relationship for Mr. A, and she could have, and she didn't, if she hadn't done her work also, and he hadn't done his work, she could have been sitting in that bar. Mr. A could have walked in and they would have just went right past each other. They wouldn't even seen each other, wouldn't even register, because your energy is very important when it comes to this. So let me give you an example, or let me give you a reading on what this is. And this is from an energy, or a book called Energy Speaks. All right. From the moment you were born into your families and cultural groups, you started to receive from those around you. You started to shape yourselves based upon how far those around you allowed you to go and how they encouraged you, but most importantly, who they were being energetically. For it is who you are as energy beings that people feel. It's not what you do, it's who you are energetically. Who you are inside comes first, the frequency of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings. And people sense this. When it comes to impact and response, what you do is secondary. This is how you read each other. And this is why when you meet another soul you feel attracted to, you will be drawn to them based upon their energy, whether you feel they will be in your life for just a moment or for a lifetime. All right, so that's very, very important. You feel other people's energies. And I know you may have had a situation where you've just instantly had rapport with somebody, just met them. And a relationship can be 6 hours in a beautiful park, or it can be 60 years, between two magnificent individuals who decide to spend 60 years, 65 or 70 years of marriage together. It's all relationships. Okay. All right. So love at first sight. Some people ask me about that. Is that possible? Love at first sight. You can see pictures of my grandchildren back here on this shelf. The minute I saw those kids, it was love at first sight, because love is what it's all about. And love is why you came here, in the envelope of relationship. Soulmate, and I've kind of touched on it, bounced back and forth on it. Soulmate. I hear this. I want to know my soulmate. I want to meet my soulmate. I want to fall in love with my soulmate. Well, that's not necessarily all it's cracked up to be. Like I said, if they haven't done their work, you're in trouble. It's not going to be a very good experience. So let's just hope that they've done their work, or at least you're doing yours. But that's typically what this timeline is about, is what we classify as your soulmate. And like at 20, you meet somebody, like the example I used, you're in a relationship for 4 or 5 years. During that 4 or 5 years, you might have the opinion that's your soulmate, and then it ends. Okay. So you didn't agree to live out the rest of your life with that person. You put other people on your timeline to experience the rest of your life with. And that's okay, because that's the way you grow. That's the way you evolve. That's the way you have bigger capacity to love, is to go through a broken heart. And a lot of people will cycle through that. They'll love, then they'll break their heart, then they'll recover, and then they'll be able to fall deeper in love. And then they'll, in that relationship, and then they'll break their heart, and then they'll recover, and they'll be able to fall deeper in love and deeper in love and deeper in love. Right? I've seen that cycle with some people too. So these relationships that you've had are not a waste. They have served you in a lot of different ways. So they're never a waste. If you learn from your experiences, it's never a waste. Okay. Love is your great superpower. Oh yes, you are an extraordinary being. You have this incredible multi-layered energy system and emotional power structure inside you. But your love fuels the growth of your energy and power. That is why love feels so good. When you have lost someone, or even when you fear loss, love more, love bigger, love deeper. That's just magnificent advice. When you have lost someone, or even when you fear loss, love more, love bigger, love deeper.